This episode, I'm going to talk to you about two pathways to sleep. But before we get into this, I need you to do one simple thing for me, and that's hit the subscribe button below. This helps us reach more people with this vital information, allows you to get instant access to new educational videos from BLUblox, and also helps us keep our content free. Thanks, guys. Appreciate all your support. Now let's get into today's video. Sleep is the cornerstone to optimal health in humans. Lack of sleep leads to almost all cases to increased all-cause mortality and an impaired immune system. It's therefore super important not to get just good sleep duration, but also better sleep quality. There are two pathways to optimal sleep. The first is sleep pressure and the second is circadian. Let's talk about both of these pathways, as both are super important to optimizing your sleep scores. Sleep pressure. Sleep pressure is the need to sleep. During the day, our mitochondria, which are the batteries in our cells, produce energy. This energy is called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. ATP is produced in response to our body's needs for energy and to perform a specific task. Whether that task is digesting food, breathing, or running a marathon. The more active we are, the more ATP we need to produce. Energy is released by hydrolysis of the third phosphate group in ATP. That is how energy is produced. When we produce ATP, the adenosine from this molecule, which remains after hydrolysis, builds up in the cells in our body as a waste product. Adenosine is an inhibitor of sleep latency. Sleep latency is our ability to fall asleep, the speed at which we fall asleep. In our brains, adenosine is an inhibitory neurotransmitter which actually inhibits wakefulness. Across the day, adenosine rises in the brain until such a point that the person will develop feelings of sleepiness. During sleep, adenosine levels actually drop, and this has led to scientists to theorize that sleep is a fundamental pathway to clearing out this adenosine from our brains. If you drink caffeine, this blocks our adenosine receptors in our brains, which causes us to feel awake. This is why so many people who drink coffee around about 6 to 8 hours before bed will actually have trouble getting to sleep. That's why we always advocate only drinking your caffeine and coffee in the morning. Circadian sleep. Every being on Earth, including humans, have a circadian rhythm. From the plants to the animals, we all have them. A circadian rhythm is a 24-hour cycle of almost every internal process in living beings. Circadian rhythms are actually endogenously generated, but they are entrained by environmental cues such as light and temperature. Light and temperature have a unique relationship in initiating sleep. Temperature, for instance, will drop when we are getting ready to sleep, and the reason our temperature drops and the pathway to why it drops is through the increase of something called melatonin. Humans evolved their circadian rhythms tied to sunlight. When the sun rose in the mornings, our circadian rhythms would be entrained, and we would produce serotonin, dopamine, and cortisol, three compounds required to start and run our days optimally. Light frequencies from the sun would then change each hour, sending new messages to our brain to release and suppress specific hormones and neurotransmitters. As the sun set, the night fell, and darkness would signal to the brain to reduce cortisol and to increase melatonin, which is our sleep hormone and also a very powerful antioxidant. The red light from our campfires will relax us further, and it would not interfere with sleep and the production of melatonin. In our modern world, we are now surrounded by this phenomenon of blue light. This is light in the form of LEDs that now occupies the majority of our lives, from smartphones, TVs, laptops, house lights, cooker lights, fridge lights, car headlights, shopping mall. We're now inundated with this blue light. Blue light during the day actually tells our brains it's daytime, and blue light after sunset does exactly the same thing, tells our brains that it's daytime. When our brain actually thinks it's daytime, we do not produce as much melatonin that we should, which helps us get into good quality, deep and restorative sleep. So when we go home after sunset and we switch on our TV or house lights, or we're scrolling through our phone or opening the fridge to make dinner, we are in effect telling our brains that it's daytime, which is messing up our sleep and our circadian rhythms. In order to optimize circadian sleep in our modern blue lit world, we either need to sit in complete darkness or with only red light sources present, Or we can go about our normal routine wearing blue light blocking glasses. Now these are glasses that have a red lens or a deep amber lens. And blue light glasses should block 100% of light between 400 and 550 nanometers, which is all 100% of the blue light and the majority of light in the green spectrum. And this is essential according to peer-reviewed academic studies. BLUblox Sleep Plus glasses are actually the go-to for anyone looking to optimize their circadian sleep because they block 100% of the light in that 400 to 550 nanometer range, which is backed by these clinical trials and peer-reviewed studies. You might think you sleep okay, but if you want to optimize your sleep, then you need to look at perfecting these two pathways to induce sleep. One does not work without the other, and what the body wants is deep restorative sleep, which can only be brought about by practicing proper light management during the day and after sunset. Wearing blue light blocking glasses after sunset, quitting caffeine afternoon, and you are going to experience an absolute level up in your sleep, health and overall wellness. Thank you so much for listening, and if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel because it keeps this content free and it keeps us motivated to keep putting this kind of content out there for you. Thanks again.